So thanks for being at ShortFest, everyone. Thanks for coming to Palm Springs. We made the dark room so that we can have another chance to talk to filmmakers, go deeper into you guys, and it should be pretty basic and fun. We just want to know who you are as filmmakers. So if we can go down the line and you can tell us your name, your role, and the movie that you're here with, and what your movie is about.
Dekel Berenson, I'm here with Ashmina, writer-director. The film tells the story of a 13-year-old Nepali girl who works on the outskirts of Pokhara, Nepal. It's a destination where a lot of foreign people come to fly their paragliders there. And when you fly a paraglider, in the end, when you end, you have to pack it. So you can package it to a small bag and take it up the mountain and jump again. So the story tells a story. The film tells the story of a girl who packs the paragliders for the foreign pilots for a small change.
My name is Hans-Moevi. I'm here. I'm the director of Intercontinental. It's my graduated film from my school, Dekel, and it talks about Sajo, an employee of a 5-star hotel in Switzerland, in the mountains, who's getting fired of his job in the laundry, and also, by extent, fired of the country, but we will learning that later. And instead of leaving the hotel, the place, he decided to steal a car and to wander into the corridor of the hotel and make him pass himself for a client for one night.
Hello, my name is Nicole Foelsterl. I'm the director, producer and editor of Far From Past. It's an experimental documentary and it deals with the elusive relationship between narration and memory. And I was interested in how stories in families are taking over generations and generations, and it's my story and it's the story of my family, and I wanted to go deeper what the big history makes with our relationships.
My name is Gelman. I'm here with Backwards. I'm the director, cinematographer and editor of the film. This is a short documentary about a line of immigrants, most of them Ukraine, that stand in front of the immigration office, and I focused on one night of waiting from night till morning and the whole experience of this.
Hi, my name is Andrée-Anne Roussel and I did the screenwriting and directing of Astres. And the movie is about an astrophysicist who discover her own spirituality in grieving of her sister. Sorry.
Is this anyone's first short? How many movies are you in? How many shorts have you guys each made?
Ashmina's my second one, but I'm the third one.
For me, I did some couple of shorts during my studies, but this one is the first narrative fiction with a budget and with a real team. And, yeah, so I did some before.
I did many video installations, so I'm coming from art, so it's hard to count it in this genre. I did two shorts before and one longer documentary for the TV.
Well, I'm actually also coming from the plastic art, and I did also many video installations, and I did 2 short documentaries before, but this is the first one that I'm coming out to the world with. So.
And I also do video installations. And I made a few more experimental shorts, but this one is like the first fully funded short film, so it's like the first but not first.
I want to stay in that corner because how serendipitous is that you all come from the video installation? So I want to dig into that. Like, what made you make the switch over, and why did you decide that this would be the one that takes you over to the other side?
I studied for my bachelor degree in Berenson, is an art school in the photography department, but we could do anything with any medium. So in the middle of my degree, I realized that still photography, I mean, it's wonderful, but this is not the experience I wish to present. And I love arts that are on the timeline. And so I started to experiment with a lot of video installations and experimental videos. And then I discovered that the best thing to express myself is through documentaries. Yeah, telling stories. But I think I always keep this artistic, experimental vibe to it. I think so.
Actually, I made a bachelor degree more in like narrative classical cinema, but it's after I made my master in like experimental media, and I got like workshop on interactive projects and everything, so it like opened a lot of new ideas for projects, and I didn't still choose one or other. I think I like to alternate between the two types because it takes like different kinds of idea, or not story or story.
I think every topic has its own genre, so I don't want to make decisions. I'm only doing now documentary or fiction or experimental or art installation. I think it really depends on the topic you have, and then I try to find the right way to bring it to an audience or to express myself. So
That's interesting. We had someone in the animation panel say that they change their style according to the story that they have. And it's, you change completely the genre totally. Does anyone else do that? Do you approach projects differently for what you're doing?
Yes, I guess I do the same. I do also documentary, but I really think that we should be cautious with those words, because fiction and documentary are the same thing, because it's filmed stories, and you can use tools from them from one side to help the other one. And for me, documentary is not reality, it's a story, and you film reality, but in fiction you also organize a place, a set, it's a bit planned, but you organize life in order to shoot it. So I think there is always I'm always thinking about how I'm going to explain the story. This film was about an encounter with a migrant, and we became friends, and I helped him with all the paperwork, and he got expelled, and I was very angry. And I wanted to tell this story, and I was thinking about how can I tell this story as a white man without any discrimination. And so I was, okay, I need to really find what I want to say. I want to do a fiction, so let's not try to fictionate reality, let's not try to recreate the scene that I lived. So let's make a story bigger than life in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel with the pool, the stuff. A bit like a James Bond film. But the main character is not an actor. In fact, it's an ex-migrant, because he got married with a Swiss woman. And for me, it was really important to work with someone who was not a real migrant, because it would have been using him, but with someone who had known what was it, in order not for me to say, maybe you should speak, you should speak poor in French or English, or maybe you should look a bit more miserable. No. You don't have to play the migrant, you just play yourself, and something true in the fiction happens. And I think it's yeah, for me it's really important to really think about what is going to be the mise en scène, the way of giving the idea to the audience in every movie, and I think it helps a lot in order to choose what shot, what length of a shot, of something.
Dekel, did you work with non-actors too?
Yeah, in Ashmina, they're all non-actors. Yeah, that we found just on the streets, and the girl she takes like a couple like one acting lesson in a school, like an hour or a few weeks or something. That is like a side thing. But all the foreigners are non-actors, and some of the local people also.
And you came you came and you filmed there and you did scouting. How did you hold auditions, or how did you find?
Yeah, we just went with a script. I wrote the script on a Monday, and on a Tuesday we bought a ticket and left there. And me and my producer we decided not to leave the country without film. Like we decided, because we had 2 other projects that we started and stopped because they were too expensive and too this and too other. So we said, okay, we're going to Japan. We're not leaving the country without a film, basically. So then we had to find foreigners. So it was just backpackers, and we stopped. We had signs with phone numbers, and we just walked. It's like, hello, do you want to? We're making a short film, and a lot of people. And then we invited people to auditions that we just did in some park somewhere. And we bought pizzas, and we said we told people there will be food and beer. And because they're backpackers, they're like, oh, cool, they will come. They came for the food, right? So then, so we did a lot of auditions to be able to find somebody who can actually act, because they're actually just backpackers. Yeah.
Wait, but you came into Nepal with a script. You didn't.
Yeah, but that's
okay.
it. Nothing else. No,
Okay.
in the backpack. Yeah.
Nicole, your documentary is so personal to you. It's about you and your grandmother. What was that process of diving deep? I mean, how much footage do you have? When did you start to even think that this would be a movie?
I started before 2000, and it was not planned to make a documentary, so I just wanted to try out different cameras. And so I documented her over 2 decades. And after a while, I'm quite connected to the history of my grandmother, because I dream from a war which is not my war. And for me it was pretty clear I never experienced war. So I wanted to ask my grandmother about my dreams, and I was really shy to ask her these questions, because I had the feeling there is a secret. I was not sure how much violence she experienced, or also rape, during the Second World War, and how to ask an old lady about these things, because this is a generation who doesn't speak that much. And then she got older and older, and I thought, no, now I have to really ask her before she's dying, because I really want to know where my dreams are coming from. And these are not good dreams, so I dream I have to flee, the Russians are coming. And I always knew it's not my story, and it's from her. She never spoke directly, so it was something like in the air, like unconsciousness, and I think I was always curious as a child, and I wanted to fill the gaps, and my unconsciousness filled the gaps with my interpretations. Yeah, and then when she was around 90, I said to myself, now take a camera and make it like an autographic interview or approach to come closer. So I didn't shoot with a team. I did it by myself to have this kind of intimacy. But then I developed topics where I realized it's a bigger story, it's a universal story. It's not only my story and my grandmother, it's the story of a generation. It's a German story. It's a story about victim and perpetrator of the Second World War. And so I dive deeper and deeper in this ambiguity of history, what we have in Europe, because many families are dealing with a past they don't want to tell, because they were in Germany or in Austria or in German-speaking minorities, they are pretty much on this. Well, they were pretty much on the side of Nazi Germans, so they don't speak about that. And I tried to speak about these past. About first of all, I wanted to make a movie for me and my grandmother, but then it turned out my grandmother was a lot of speaking about my grandfather, and then I realized what I didn't realize as a child or as a teenager. We don't know, or do we don't like to know, so we ignore that there is a kind of Nazi past in my family. And I asked her these questions, and what was important for me was I don't want to deal with not fiction, with the real history. It starts then, and then they migrate in 1938 or something like that. For me, it was much, because this you can read on Wikipedia. So we all knew in Europe about the bad side of history, but for me it was interesting how it is, how influences families, how influences me, and I tried to make the feeling what I experienced. So I ask her, I get something, then she tried to escape because she doesn't want to talk. And then I tried again, and I tried again, and I wanted to make one talk, and this talk is based on 20 years of interviewing her. It's not linear, this was not important for me, because I think if we all have the same experience. If you speak with elderly people, they jump and in and forward and backwards. And it's not about facts, it's about how we deal with each other. And I think families are really political, because you get so many things which make your personality or how you see the world. And as an adult, I see the world differently than my grandmother does, even if I love her. So this was also an ambiguity for me to find out there is a woman. I spend a lot of time, I love her, but I don't have her opinion. I'm politically on the complete other side, but I love her.
Dana, you also the other documentary on this panel. I think yours was really, if you were to read the log line, it just does not capture what you captured on screen. So can you take us to, just give us a little bit of background into how you got into that? How did you plant yourself into this group?
So during the time of the shooting, I used to live in the same neighborhood, like the next street, and this ritual it became well known in the neighborhood, because everybody could experience the people sleeping in the street, and sometimes fighting and shouting, and most people go like this. They don't want to know what's going on. So I decided to check it out, and most of the film is in Russian, and I don't speak any Russian, but I have a lot of Russian friends. So I took them with me one at a time, and we start asking questions and spend time with them. And then I realized the best thing to tell this story is to experience. My main goal was for the audience to like feel it in their bodies. The experience of waiting the entire night, sleeping in the street and getting pushed in the morning, and the frustration about it. I really didn't want to deal if the state should let them in or not. This is not what it is about, just about this experience that it shouldn't be like this, and about the forces that affect this line. So yeah, I just couldn't ignore it anymore.
Is this one day that you filmed, or did you keep coming back and filming and then put it together?
I filmed it for 4 nights, like from around 9 p.m. till morning, and then put it all together.
And Andrée-Anne, I think, did you write your own? You wrote it, yeah? And you're dealing with really abstract themes that don't always go together, or it's hard to, combine. You're dealing with spirituality and science and grief. How did you, it's pretty ambitious. How did you tackle all of these? What was the writing process like for you? Did you do a lot of research also? Because it seems like science.
Yes, I did some research, but because where the idea started, it's when I read a book with like an astrophysicist talking with a Buddhist, and yeah, like the Buddhist was talking about the non-existence of God, and the astrophysicist was talking about maybe the existence of God because the too much complex world he is studying since so many years, and that like surprised me because in my head I'd separated the science and the spiritual. So it's like quite a long time I wrote the script, so I don't remember like how I managed to work all that. But for me, like the two domain, like the Korean culture, the astrophysicist, everything was kind of new to me. So that was a part I just to do the research on everything and trying to make it look like credible. Credible, is that a word? Okay. And I also noticed during the process, because I really wanted that the astrophysicist lab and everything looks really realist. And so I talked with the astrophysicist, and they showed me picture, and we talked about it, and I realized after that I added some point to romanticize a little bit, or like make it maybe look more special and everything, because their office like really looks so beige and boring. Like the work they do is fascinating, but the look didn't transmit, and since it was a short film and we had to make the appearance of the supernova like really special, because I think that's one thing it's hard to maybe understand how much the event of a supernova is so special for an astrophysicist. Like they wait for this all their lives, but when you look at the diagram and all the data you have access, it looks like really like nothing. It's like only some dots on the diagram. So yes.
Was there a point in your life, or your childhood, or where you realized that you wanted to be a storyteller? Is there like an artist that inspired that in you, or someone in your family, or something that you came across where you're like, this is what I want to do, this is what I have to do?
I'm from a very young age. I knew that I wanted to study film, but then I did because, but it's like, you know, it's like, for me it was something that is like just this fantasy, like wanting to be an astronaut. Because I grew in a family, nobody told me like, if that's what you want to do, then go to do it. Because I grew in a family, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. Anyway, so then I didn't go and pursue it until, you know, my late 30s, basically.
Were you trying to be an astronaut first?
And no,
Okay.
but everything else. So.
Me, I always was drawing a lot. I come from, my mother's, my two parents are architects, so I wanted to be an architect. And then I wanted to be a doctor. And then I wanted to be do some drawings, and then I realized that there were no money, so I was panicked, so I wanted to be a banker. And then I realized that I didn't want to be a banker at all. And but I didn't have the TV channels at home, and my father was in this family, they had cinemas in Spain, and so he always every week bought like a couple of DVDs, so I watched like, I don't know, one film per day when I was a child, and so at the moment I was like, oh, maybe I could do just one for my thesis of college, I don't know, high school maybe, and work. And I did it, and I was like, oh, it's very nice. And, I didn't know if I wanted to act or to direct, and I tried both, and I was like, no, the direct.
So you wanted to do everything, and now you direct, so you can do everything. You can make movies about everything.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I never asked myself that. So I see myself as a discoverer. I see myself as someone who wants to express myself. I want to find things out, and I would like to engage and reach people. And I think if you sum it up, then I'm a storyteller, but not, I think, in this classical dream, I want to be a director or a filmmaker. This was not something, or is still not in my mind. It's just making things where I'm interested in, and I hope to get an audience which is also interested what me influences me. And there are a lot of topics around. We are living in a very excited times with a lot of changes, so I think we have a lot of to tell and to have a look on.
So for me, I studied theater in high school, so I always was attracted to storytelling. But it was like a lot later that I got exposed to film and documentaries, and if I can get cinephilic for a second, when I got to know Frederica Weisman films, I looked at it and say, oh my God, this is how stories should be told, because I always drawn to stories about location that are like a collage of scenes, and the meaning comes between them. And it affected me so strong. So I figured if it touched me, it can touch many people. This is what I want to do.
My parents also want me to be a doctor, and but after, like, I realized I was just not interested that much in the science course. I remember a specific time, like in high school, one of my English teacher was showing us a lot of Jim Jarmusch movies, and since before that, like, my favorite movies were more like Dumb and Dumber and some things like that. It opened my mind to another universe. And so I was not really interested in like storytelling, but more like in the other ambience, or more like contemplative work. And yes.
Is there an aspect of filmmaking or storytelling that you really enjoy? Is it the research? Is it the getting to work with people? And on the other side, is there something that you just really, it's painful?
Every production, when I start, every production in every stage, I'm thinking this is so much fun. And you know, the audition, it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. Writing the script, when I write, I'm like, oh, this is so much fun, I just want to write. And then even like post-production and doing sound and all the things that you can do with sound or editing, being on set is awesome. So there's nothing that I really don't enjoy. So no, it's for other people.
What I like in storytelling is that you can engage with people, and I use the thinking of storytelling for co-creation as well. So just to find something out in the way of storytelling also could help to make innovation. So for me, storytelling is much more broader than a story, and this I like, because it helps me to explain and to find something out, how I interpret the world. And so for me it's a great medium, as well in filmmaking, but as well in other things I'm doing, like co-creation and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a powerful medium. And I like the rhythm. If you are doing a film, first you have to research, first the idea, then the research, then you're shooting. And after every step, I'm happy that this is ending, and then you go into the editing, and then you are alone, and then when I'm alone, then I'm waiting for the next to be together with other people. So this rhythm which the film process has, I like.
Okay. Yeah, engaging with other people, that's like magic for me. But also, I come from photography, but lately, and especially in this film, sound been my main focus. Sound design, music, although I have no music, but my main work on this film was creating this sound design from field recordings. And I feel that there's so many opportunities and things you can do with sound, and so much powerful, sometimes more than the visual part of it. So this is like my main fascination right now.
It's funny, I just realized that my favorite parts of is really like the first and the last. Like, I really like when the first idea for your project comes and you start doing research, and like the beginning of the writing. I think I really like that. And I also love sound mix. Like, it's like my really favorite part of the post-production, and even better than the shooting, actually.
For me, like, it's a bit like you. Every part is like, oh, it's so fun and it's so it's stressing, but the part that, why I like every part, it's because the thing that I love the most is the part when you found something new. There is a problem and you have to find a solution, and the solution is better than before, or you see something and you say, oh no, I have to change everything. I have to put a statue in the film, I have to find something, and you always find, when you really put something, and it's a bit like dominoes, you bring something else, and that's just a feeling that it's so exciting, because you have the feeling that you are finding something. It's a bit like a game, and yeah, the sound also is really exciting, because you just put a sound, and then the scene is too long, you put another sound, the scene is too short, you put another sound, and there is a phone in the scene, and you didn't even shot it, and it's very exciting.
Speaking of solutions, is there something that happened or that you learned in this project that you're going to take with you for the next one?
Can I just add something for the previous question?
Yeah.
But it's related also to this. That the only thing that is not fun maybe is just making, because when you decide what project to make, you commit to so much work and effort that it's very, like, you have to be so sure that you're doing this project, and it's very important for me that it will be important. So, like, because you're spending so much time and money and effort and people and everything, and it's going to be like so life-consuming. And now with a feature, a short is a joke next to a feature. A short you can finish in 3, 4, 5 months, but the feature is like you're committing for 3 years, or sometimes more, or maybe 2 years. And it's like, is this important enough for me to do this and to take so many people with me on this crazy adventure, right? So this is, for me, is the only struggle. Like, for me also, like, I feel like the world is so crazy now, and so many things are happening, and suddenly, like, you know, I can start a war with Iran suddenly, and global warming, and there's no food source. Like, you know, everything is like, is this important? Is this really what I'm going to do now for 3 years, when I can, maybe it's more important to join, like, go and volunteer for Bernie Sanders or something like that. Like, really, I'm really struggling with this.
That's actually really cool. Instead of my last question, I want to change my question. What do you ask yourself before taking on a project? Is there something that, because it is true, you're devoting all this time. Do you ask yourself a few things? Do you make sure that they meet a certain criteria, or how do you decide?
For me, it's I don't know how it was before, but now it's like, is this important enough? Is this needs to be? Because,
like, in terms of politics, or?
Yeah, politics. Yeah, the world is going to, you know, we're making feel like I can join an NGO and, like, start, like, you know, bring water to people who don't have clear water or something. And now I'm going to make a film, and, like, you know, it's a little bit insane. in some ways. So it's really important for me that it will be politically important enough to commit to it and not like, yeah, go and join an NGO or start an NGO or whatever.
For me, it was a process, so I didn't have that plan, only to get some answers. And what I found out was also scaring me, because at the time when I was speaking with my grandmother about her migration in 2015, the new migrations are coming from the same route than the Balkan route, which is now closed in Europe, came to Austria, and to find out it's the same route, and I had the feeling of repetition of history with different signs, and also what you can observe, and what was very hard to observe it on one I love, that she was a migrant but has no empathy for those who are coming now. And also, this was 2015, and if you look at the political situation now in Europe, I get a little bit scared about all the nationalism, that we are closing borders, and all this idea of a free world. Yeah, it's not the age at the moment, and there I can join. So what can we do to not to protect, to prolong all the values of democracy, of that we are the same and the others are not the enemies? This came out for me very strong. Of course, I feel so sorry that I don't have the solutions, the political solution, but I think we should talk to the others about what we are, that identity, that we are all the same, and that we not exclude people because they have a different nationality, because we have seen in the Second World War where this could lead. And this happens right now. But please understand me correctly, I don't compare the situation right now with the Second World War, but the mechanism of nationalism, it's pretty much the same how it works at the moment. And that scares me.
I want to say something in between, because I'm sitting in between and it's also in between. I think making films, it's really something that is at the heart of what is the problem now, is that we're losing connection between people. And to make a film, you always have to meet people, connect with people, and discuss, not get angry against the one who doesn't give money and or doesn't want to do the film. And it's also, you want to make something to talk to people, and I think if you sing that like that, it become a very important work, because the important thing nowadays is to reconnect with other people without judging, without saying there is bad, there is wrong, but just seeing the wrong, seeing the bad, and talking about if it's wrong, what is wrong, and what is bad, and being all and discover what we think as a society. And I think it's really important to make film even more today, and it's even more the real question that I have before to make a film is, what do I really want to say? And I write it down, and I'm like, okay, that's childish, and I try a bit more, and I'm okay, maybe with this I can go. But yeah, important thing is to know what you want. For me, it's to really know what the film is about.
I struggle a lot with the idea that I put all my energy in personal projects instead of maybe, like you said, helping others or society in a more maybe concrete way. And I think, like, for the next projects, I want to choose some more engaged subject and everything, because my projects are a lot about more like formal or like sensory and sound and everything, and my goal is maybe to mix the two, like to have this sensory aspect but maybe a subject less personal or like more engaging. I don't know if I answered the question.
Can I say something? No. No, just to say that we were speaking about making politically important films. So I recognize an issue. I think I recognize that there is a trend many years already for people to tell their own stories, their own personal stories. And a lot of times they're not political because they're just personal. I mean, I feel that a lot of people they make because people make personal stories. Then a lot of times they don't make big sweeping political stories about like about nationalism or I don't know if it makes sense. Like people make personal stories about like issues in the neighborhood or something between people, but not about sweeping national issues. And no, feature is different with documentaries. I'm talking about big features.
Okay. Because for me it's not a
Contradiction.
because what I try is starting from me, and I, as mentioned, I think families are really, it's really a political matter, how you raise, how your values are coming from. So to question yourself, where are you coming from, what are my beliefs, I think this is political.
No, sure, I agree.
And I try to make this bridge from my personal story to a universal story, and also that the message is a little bit start talking as well in your families about the situation right now.
Yeah, I meant big features.
So I'm pretty much the same. I'm looking also for the stories we should tell right now, how it's relevant, and also why should I tell it. I'm looking for, it's about my passion, if I have something new to say about it.
Well, I guess to close it off and sort of in line with this, what is the next thing that you have said yes to, or do you know yet what you are going to devote the next few months of your life, or something that you've been working on already that you?
I don't want to make in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years another documentary about my family. So I finished this really, and I'm quite happy that my dreams are not coming anymore. So I have the feeling of experience something totally new, so I will step into VR, but much more as a method of co-creation to find something out with this medium, not as a story, just as a method. So I'm at the beginning of something new, and I'm quite surprised where it will lead me on.
I'm taking the third, so after Ashmina and Anna there was a third short. I mean there were 3 more shorts, but I'm taking the third one and expanding it into a feature.
Me, when I go back to Switzerland in Geneva, I will start editing a short documentary that I have shot for 3 months this winter. It's about a young Swiss guy who's 19 years old and who lived in the banlieue of kind of wealthy banlieue of Geneva, but has a strong connection with nature, and he wants to go live in Alaska, so he's tanning, transforming a deer skin to leather shirt, and to live there. And the film is about this transformation of the skin, these preparations.
I'm in the middle of some research for different subjects right now, but I know it's going to be around women because I have like a lot to say, and I'm just trying to figure out the right thing to say, and also I'm looking for something that involves religion and the misogyny part of it. This is what I'm interested in right now.
Documentary?
Of course, always.
It won't be too difficult to find misogyny in religion. It's not.
Is it difficult? Yeah.
It's not going to be difficult.
No, it's not. But I'm looking for the right one. No.
I'm writing a feature, like science fiction feature, and like preparing a shoot for our next film, and also working on the like exhibition mixing video and electronics about like technology and intimacy.
Well, thank you all so much for your stories and for coming to ShortFest, and I hope we see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.